columnist was shot and killed with no warning, no provocation, or quite simply assassinated, targeted for their uniform and for the responsibility they embraced to keep the people of this city safe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Joining us right now is Joe Concha, a columnist at Mediaite.com, as you well know. And Joe, welcome. And you had a great piece. The column says, Concha, they deserved it. The repulsive reaction to Brooklyn police executions. And people have to understand that there are actually people out there who believe that those cops did deserve it.
Let's make sure we share that headline correctly. Not Concha, they deserved it, as if I was.
No, that Concha's saying it. No, that's Concha's writing it. I'm sorry. I don't know why I read the Concha part. Absolutely. Thank you for clearing that up.
No problem.
But talk about what you are referring to.
Well, ML Nestel, who is a reporter for the Daily Beast, and remember, Steve, no one's going to confuse the Daily Beast with any right-wing publication, certainly left of center of anything. He was a reporter that was down at the scene at the time, shortly after those police officers were executed, were assassinated in broad daylight. And he actually heard some people saying they deserved it. He witnessed clapping and cheering outside the hospital where they were brought to. Now, this wasn't a massive group or anything, but he witnessed enough where he thought he should report it. And I actually got some tweets and got some emails from people saying, please, you're going on one reporter's account, and basically accused him of making it up. I doubt that ML Nestel, considering how sensitive this is, considering his background with Newsday, the New York Post, the Daily News, just decided to make up stories to inflame something. And here's the evidence how I know this is probably true, because there's precedent, Steve. If you remember, an NBC affiliate in New York got on video, and the audio is the most important part of this, of people chanting in the streets at 32nd and 5th, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it?
Joe, I'm glad you brought that up. Joe, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to play that now. I wanted to ask you as a follow-up, but let's play that now. This is exactly what Joe's talking about. Watch and listen, folks. All right, so continue. That solidifies your belief, but it also begs the question: why are we told that all these protesters, who we know have attacked cops, who we know have called them the KKK, spilled fake blood on them, and chanted "We want dead cops"? Why are we told constantly that they're peaceful?
Most of them are, I would say, because there were thousands. But that particular group right there, I was only told, well, that was just a handful. That was just a splinter group. That sounded, and if you watch the video, it's a lot of people. I don't have an exact number, but it's certainly over 100. You can't make that kind of sound with just a couple of people on a Manhattan street. So to anybody who says, well, there's no way after those two cops were executed that anybody would possibly be clapping or being happy about that actually happening, go watch that video again, because at least the people that were chanting there got exactly what they wanted, Steve.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, I watched the media coverage on Saturday as it happened, after it happened, and I went on Twitter to find my good friends Van Jones and Mark Lamont Hill, and it took them a long time, but true to form, while we don't condone this, and while we have to mourn them, let's not lose sight of the fact, says Mark Lamont Hill, of what the goal is here. Let's not lose sight of the fact, and you really can't blame him when the president basically says the same thing. It was outrageous, but we have to all sit down and have a meaningful conversation. And same thing with de Blasio. Cut the protests, but when it's over, let's all bring the community together. Let's all sit down and talk. Why? I mean, it's like capitulating to terrorists.
We've heard about this all year, Steve. It's probably the three most repeated words in cable news, at least, and that is conversation about race. And it's never a conversation. It's basically one side saying that there's an epidemic that blacks are being executed by white cops, when there were 123 that were killed by police officers this year. Meanwhile, there were over 300 whites that were killed by police officers this year. I know there are more whites than blacks in this country, many more, but still, it is still a 3-to-1 ratio of whites being killed by police officers as opposed to blacks. And that's never part of the conversation, Steve, for whatever reason. And if we're going to have a conversation, it's got to be an honest one. And facts like that need to be presented as well. There is no epidemic of blacks being killed by police officers. Mayor de Blasio, you played the clip before for your previous guest, saying that he's worried about, he had to warn his son growing up about possibly being killed by police officers in this city. That was a horrible, completely irresponsible thing to say that did not help in this situation. And I think we could both agree that there aren't many people in Bill de Blasio's court right now, certainly not the police who turned their back on him when he was walking to a press conference.
Absolutely.
If there was ever
Joe,
a one and done, I think we're looking at it right now, Steve. No question.
Joe, Merry
done.
Christmas. Thank you, my friend. Got to go. Merry Christmas. NYPD Detective Harry Houck next, retired.